Have you ever wondered what truly led the world into the cataclysmic conflict known as World War II? We often oversimplify, pointing to power-hungry leaders or failed treaties, but the reality is far more complex. Stay tuned as we unravel the complex factors that ignited the flames of the Second World War. World War II did not occur in a vacuum. It was, in fact, a continuation of World War I. The fallout from the first global conflict was a critical precursor to the second one. The Treaty of Versailles, signed in the aftermath of the First World War, was intended to ensure peace. However, it sowed the seeds of discontent among the nations involved. Germany, in particular, was left feeling aggrieved. The treaty imposed heavy reparations on the country, which was blamed for the war. These reparations crippled the German economy and led to widespread discontent among the German people. This resentment was further fueled by the loss of territory and the limitation on their military forces stipulated by the treaty. In addition to Germany, other nations were left dissatisfied by the post-war settlement. Italy, despite being on the winning side, felt it had not received its fair share of the spoils of war. This discontent and the economic hardship that followed the war provided fertile ground for the rise of extremist ideologies. Moreover, the Treaty of Versailles failed to foster a lasting peace because it did not address the root causes of the First World War. Nationalism, militarism, and imperial competition remained, creating a volatile mix that would eventually ignite into the Second World War. The stage was thus set for a new conflict fueled by the unresolved issues of the First World War. The political landscape was dramatically altered with the rise of authoritarian leaders. The world watched as a new breed of leaders emerged, men who would stop at nothing to achieve their nationalistic and expansionist ambitions. In Germany, a charismatic and enigmatic figure, Adolf Hitler, rose to power. Hitler, with his fiery speeches and promises of a restored German glory, managed to galvanize a nation still reeling from the aftermath of World War I. His expansionist policies under the guise of reclaiming lost territories set the stage for a world on the brink of war. Meanwhile, in Italy, Benito Mussolini, the pioneer of fascism, had seized power. Mussolini's vision of a new Roman Empire led Italy on an aggressive expansionist path, destabilizing the fragile peace in Europe. On the other side of the world, in Japan, Emperor Hirohito presided over a militaristic government hell-bent on imperial conquest. Japan's invasion of Manchuria marked the beginning of their aggressive expansion into Asia, further escalating global tensions. These leaders, each unique in their methods and ideologies, shared a common thread: a desire for expansion and dominance. Their aggressive policies and blatant disregard for international norms and agreements upended the world order, creating an atmosphere ripe for conflict. These leaders, with their aggressive policies and ideologies, pushed the world closer to another catastrophic war. Japan's imperialistic ambitions in Asia added another spark to the tinderbox. As a rising power seeking to expand its influence, Japan turned its sights to its neighbors. In 1937, it launched a full-scale invasion of China, igniting the Second Sino-Japanese War. This was a clear demonstration of Japan's imperialistic intentions and military might, but Japan didn't stop there. It continued to extend its reach, occupying territories throughout the Pacific region. These aggressive moves were not without consequence. They drew the ire of Western powers, who saw them as a threat to their own interests in the region. Among these Western nations, the United States was particularly concerned. It viewed Japan's actions as a direct challenge to its Pacific strategy. The result was heightened tensions and a push toward conflict. Japan's expansionist policies stoked tensions with the Western powers, particularly the United States. Germany, dissatisfied with the Treaty of Versailles, sought to overturn its terms. The treaty, signed at the end of World War I, was viewed by many Germans as a diktat, a dictated peace. It was seen as a humiliating document that unfairly placed the entire blame for the war on Germany and Austria-Hungary, collectively known as the Central Powers. Moreover, the treaty imposed severe financial reparations and territorial losses on Germany. The economic burden of these reparations led to hyperinflation, unemployment, and widespread poverty. This economic suffering fueled a deep-seated anger among the Germans, who felt betrayed by their leaders and the international community. This discontent, coupled with the desire for revenge, ultimately found a voice in Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party. Hitler's promise to tear up the Treaty of Versailles and restore Germany's honor resonated with many Germans, who felt marginalized and mistreated by the treaty's terms. Germany's discontent played a pivotal role in the escalation of tensions leading to World War II. The rise of militarism in Germany and Italy posed a serious threat to international stability. Both nations, under the rule of their respective authoritarian leaders, began to invest heavily in their military forces. This shift towards militarism wasn't a mere show of strength, but served as the backbone of their expansionist ambitions. In Germany, Hitler's regime sought to overturn the Treaty of Versailles and re-establish Germany as a leading world power. This led to a significant increase in military spending, and by the mid-30s the German military had grown exponentially. Meanwhile, in Italy, Mussolini was pursuing similar goals. He envisioned a new Roman Empire and saw a strong military as the key to achieving this dream. Consequently, Italy too began to bolster its military capabilities. These ambitious expansionist policies, underpinned by the growth of militarism, were not just a cause for concern. They were a ticking time bomb. These ambitious expansionist policies further exacerbated tensions in Europe. The League of Nations, established to prevent international conflict, failed to stop aggression. Conceived in the aftermath of World War I, the League was designed to provide a platform for peaceful dispute resolution. However, it was plagued by significant limitations, not least of which was its inability to enforce its own resolutions. Japan, Italy, and Germany, under the leadership of militaristic regimes, blatantly violated the League's principles. Japan's invasion of Manchuria in 1931, Italy's assault on Ethiopia in 1935, and Germany's relentless territorial expansion in Europe were all met with ineffective sanctions or outright inaction by the League. The League's lack of military power, combined with the absence of key international players like the United States, significantly undermined its authority. Its inability to deter aggression from these nations revealed a critical flaw in the collective security it was meant to provide. The League's failure paved the way for the escalation of conflict. A series of crucial events directly triggered the war. The year 1939 saw Germany cross a line that would set the stage for global conflict. On the first day of September, German forces invaded Poland, an act of aggression that would not go unanswered. This marked the beginning of World War II. Fast forward to 1941, another significant event occurred that would draw the United States into the fray. On a day that will forever live in infamy, the 7th of December, Japan launched a surprise attack on Pearl Harbor. The shock and devastation caused by this attack galvanized the United States into action, marking their official entry into the war. These acts of aggression, among others, were not isolated incidents, but rather, they were the culmination of years of tension and conflict. These events served as the immediate sparks that ignited the war. The policy of appeasement adopted by some Western countries inadvertently encouraged aggression. As we delve into the policy of appeasement, we see a strategy marked by compromise and concession. In the 1930s, Britain and France, in an attempt to maintain peace, adopted this policy towards Germany's aggressive actions. The prime players here were British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain and French Premier Édouard Daladier. They chose to appease rather than confront Adolf Hitler, hoping to avoid another war. This policy allowed Hitler to annex Austria and the Sudetenland in Czechoslovakia with little to no resistance from the Western powers. However, this strategy backfired. Instead of maintaining peace, it emboldened Hitler and the Nazis. The lack of a serious military response to their aggressive actions sent a clear message. Aggression might not provoke a substantial retaliation. This policy, intended to maintain peace, ironically gave room for conflict escalation, setting the stage for the outbreak of World War II. World War II was a complex event triggered by a combination of geopolitical factors. The aftermath of World War I, the rise of authoritarian leaders, and Japan's imperial expansion all played significant roles in setting the stage. Germany's discontent with the Treaty of Versailles and the growth of militarism further fueled tensions. The failure of the League of Nations and a series of pivotal events signaled the inevitability of conflict. The policy of appeasement by some Western nations inadvertently encouraged aggression. These factors, intertwined and overlapping, collectively led to the outbreak of World War II. Understanding these factors helps us comprehend the complexities of global politics and the